Welcome to my video presentation, an online junior high school social studies lesson. A pedagogically sound technology lesson plan grounded on using digital technologies to encourage reflection in the classroom. Key topics in this presentation include details of the lesson, reflective models and opportunities, role of technology, discussion of the lesson, pedagogical approaches, benefits, drawbacks, and challenges, my role in contributing to engaging students in reflexive practices, future projects, and resource reference page. A reflective lesson with technology. This unit is being introduced at the beginning of the school year, allowing students to peruse the grade 7 social studies topics. It is Unit 1, Lesson 1. The modality is online and the lesson will last 1 hour. The topic is Social Studies, Tourism Topics. The Social Studies book, entitled Primary Social Studies and Tourism Education for the Bahamas, will be used this school year. There will be many new topics, some of which are familiar and others will be new. Students will highlight and underline important information in the ebook using the Kindle app. They'll save highlighted information in their notes digitally and complete digital assignments. Projects will be used in the iPad, tablet, or laptop. They will define and explain the importance of learning about social studies in the Bahamas and complete a mini project in class, either individually or in a small group using their available digital tools. Almost all of the jobs done in the Bahamas have to do with the tourism industry. Therefore, it is very important that they learn about tourism concepts. The lesson objectives are: at the end of the lesson, students will be able to use digital media to illustrate various topics from primary social studies and tourism education for the Bahamas. They will define social studies and explain the importance of learning through interactive media. Students will reflect on the purposes of social and civic participation in the modern Bahamian society and discuss tourism concepts and topics for their grade level. At the end of the lesson, students will perform or present their multimedia presentation. The background of the students was gained from previous get to know you activities during orientation and from multiple intelligence questionnaires. There are 3 groups of students with at least 3 levels of abilities or groupings. Some adaptations and or modifications were made for exceptional learners. Students may zoom in on ebook for an enlarged print for visual impairments, and there will also be a pre-downloaded outline available for intellectually disabled a group of students. An English as a second learner student is allowed to use an English Spanish dictionary app to assist translate unfamiliar words. The learning target is twofold: to introduce new topics in social studies and to promote and encourage reflection in an online lesson using technology. Presenting online content, instructional online content. Just like this presentation, your online lesson should include visuals that establish the purpose of the lesson, examples, illustrations, new concepts and ideas, concise communication, logical sequencing and segmenting, and essential information. At the end of your lesson, use reflective strategies to decide what went right and what went wrong during your lesson. Are changes needed? This lesson catered to different learning styles from beginning to end. The lesson met all objectives, allowing students to reflect while using technology appropriately. Multiple means of engagement. Your goal for this section of the lesson is to outline how you will engage students in interacting with the content and academic language. How will students explore, practice, and apply the content? For example, you may engage students through collaborative group work, structured online discussions, wiki, etc. The teacher will do certain things, and the student will do certain things during the lesson. The teacher will open or introduce the lesson with a whole class interactive class game using the Jeopardy format. The questions are used as a review of previous topics on Bahamas tourism and an introduction to new concepts. Then a short teacher created video will follow the game. The students will respond to questions from social studies general knowledge by logging into Kahoot and playing that Jeopardy game. The teacher is navigating the Jeopardy game slides. Next, students listen to a voiceover PowerPoint presentation that introduces the social studies topics. They read silently from the screen and watch embedded videos. Watch and discuss real life examples, situations, scenarios on PowerPoint slides is a part of the reflective activity. The teacher will preview, facilitate, and assist students with the ideas and discussions. The time allotted for all of these introductory activities is about 15 minutes. Here are the focus questions for the lesson, which will cater to the development and activities during the lesson. Here, the teacher is giving the students an opportunity to use their devices to collaborate on the whiteboard, or they can unmute their microphones or type in the chat to reflect on the social studies topics seen in the opening video. Students must then reflect on the importance of the tourism industry in modern Bahamian society. Students will then be instructed to choose the device that they are most comfortable with to produce a multimedia presentation. Their presentation will be presented through visual media, videos, and adaptive technologies. The students here in this lesson are given options. They can create a social studies flyer on what is social studies and why is it important using their mobile device. They have been given this information in the opening videos and games. The second option, students may record an audio or video of 1 to 2 minute rap song, poem, including at least 6 topics found in the text using a mobile device. The students may create a short slideshow using pictures from the internet to illustrate at least 5 grade level social studies topics reviewed during the lesson using their device. This lesson encouraged reflections throughout. The lesson has specific times allotted for the introductory activities, content, and conclusion. It includes sufficient time for reflection at various times throughout the lesson as well. There are many opportunities for student reflection. For example, students may use a whiteboard to collaborate during the lesson, answering these questions. What is social studies? What is tourism? What is the most important, interesting, relevant, useful aspect of this lesson? And what have I learned? How can it be applied in the future? Students may also use a whiteboard to collaborate during the lesson, or the word cloud as an exit ticket at the end of the lesson. The instructional activities and materials support the lesson objectives, sustain students' attention, elicit a variety of thinking, providing time for reflection, and opportunities for student to student interaction. The lesson also provides students with choices where they can incorporate multimedia and technology as a part of the teaching and learning process. The activities and tasks are appropriately complex. As we know, students can be assessed before, during, and after the lesson. Different reflective theories can be introduced throughout the school year so that students will be familiar with this process. The following activities may be used: motivation activities intended to help learners to be ready for the session, orientation activities to inform students of their roles and responsibilities based on the purpose of the objectives of the session, information activities Allow students to manipulate current knowledge, access, retrieve, and generate new ideas. Application activities allow for the use of knowledge and skills in novel situations. And evaluation activities allow for reflection, corrective actions, and sourcing of evidence to confirm, refute claims about learning. In this lesson, technology was used to enhance the students' reflexive practices. Students must draw connections between their emerging knowledge and the demonstration or practice of what they learned. This can be described as deep learning, that is, learning with understanding in contrast to surface learning or rote learning. Alt 2017 points out that more attention should be paid to contextual variables that provide learners with a wide range of authentic experiences. Situating learning in a real world task ensures that learning is personally interesting and provides students with opportunities to think at the level of the sophistication that they are likely to encounter in the real world. Similarly, reflexive practices breed active learning and engagement as an instructional strategy. Students construct their learning while engaging in meaningful activities and are provided with opportunities to reflect on what they are doing. Learners differ in the way they navigate a learning environment and express what they know. The goal in this section is to explain the various ways in which students will demonstrate what they have learned. As an educator, you should explain alternative means for response, selection, and composition to accommodate all learners. Will you offer students choices to demonstrate mastery? This section is essentially differentiated assessment. In my lesson, the teacher will allow students to present their media project to express their knowledge about the topic. Students will self assess and assess their peers by grading their classmates using a digital app with a 1 to 5 scale and space for written feedback. The app will automatically average the student's grade and show feedback. The students will share all presented information from groups with students and shared media class files. Keep in mind the reflective models are used throughout the lesson in various ways. When it comes time for student assessment, the students presenting their in-class projects can be used for summative and formative assessment. Learning is dependent on the pedagogical approach teachers use in the classroom. If this lesson was done in a face-to-face learning environment, as is the case for many classrooms across the Caribbean, the practice of chalk and talk and seat work may have been used. The teacher would use choral reading, underlining, and highlighting using a pen, pencil, or highlighter, and small group collaboration using classroom art supplies. Time for reflecting on the objectives, activities, and assessment perhaps would not have been an option for students. However, we are going to use our resources to support reflective and reflexive practices in technology enabled environments. While most teachers ascribe to the constructivism theory for class instruction, realistically, due to lack of resources, both learner centered and teacher centered pedagogy are effectively used. Each lesson should set out to engage students from the very beginning, cater to various learning styles, and allow multiple activities, allowing them to reflect. Ultimately, students will actively express what is learned when the class content is interesting, relevant, and motivating. Address the needs of the diverse learning community. Design your courses with student engagement in mind. Lastly, allow opportunities for reflection and collaboration and reduce cognitive loads. One of the goals of this lesson was to move students into more digital concepts and to become critical thinkers in the information age, skills and technical knowledge that they can use across the disciplines. Yes, the students are in the initial stages of thinking about the Bahamas tourism model and being introduced to new topics for the school year. However, the end goal is to allow reflective and reflexive opportunities to take them deeper into how this model could be extended. For example, entrepreneurship, better environmental practices, and other economic advantages for the Bahamas citizens. According to the Open University, no date, digital literacy includes the ability to find and use information, encompass communication, collaboration, and teamwork, social awareness in the digital environment, understanding of e-safety and creation of new information, underpinned by critical thinking and evaluation. The new normal must include technology enabled lessons that encourage active learning, knowledge construction, inquiry, and exploration on the part of the learners, facilitated in a learning environment between teachers and learners, which allow for reflective practices, even in remote situations. What changes to teaching approaches must be embraced to effectively implement these learning resources? Use more reflexive practices in online teaching and learning. Draw connections and have practical applications. Work together in small groups. Commit to student empowerment through reflection, and so on. From Trust 2018 and Trust Policies 2017. I would like to explore in the future appropriate use of multimedia and social media for self reflection. According to Thomas et al. 2018, social media data can be used to support self reflection. Users may reflect on the digital identity in new ways, embrace individual expression of self, as well as other reflections of self that can be difficult to put into words. Digital storytelling can be done across disciplines, where the use of photos can be used in a linear fashion to retell, recount, and reflect. Personal artifacts can be also an excellent way to build a self assessment, and in this way, reflections can take a personal narrative of their own. Self reflection is a core human activity that occurs naturally and is often associated with the processes of life review and reminiscence. From Thomas et al., page 53. You can also consider the following: using digital online educational resources like websites, videos, games, simulations, but do not overload students with activities and assignments in the online space that do not directly contribute to learning. From Trust 2017, Zeglin and Rosendale 2018. Here are a few more slides that will assist you in reflecting on instructional development. You may self assess as an educator, asking yourself some of these questions. Finally, moving forward, I would like to focus more on reflexivity. Reflexive practices involve using new understandings and new practices and connecting the knowledge that reflective practices also provide, from Taggart 2005. Here, teachers may condition students to ask themselves these questions, as well as we may ask ourselves: what are your automatic responses? Why did you respond in this way? Understand where that automatic response came from and explore what caused certain things and what effect it had. I feel like this can be a great way for our students to understand their power and also to take responsibility and accountability for their actions. Here are my references used in this presentation video. I truly hope you enjoyed all that I had to share with you today in my lesson example and the pedagogical approaches towards reflexive practices in a technology enabled environment. I look forward to reading your comments, discussing your opinions, and also viewing your videos.